completely destroyed, and then he was banned in every single game. Okay, from that to game number 2, Dragonshire is our map. The Russian Circus in the best of 5 is in the lead. So it's map number 2. They need to win 3 maps in order to make it to the league in 2017. But beGenius has shown strong games here today. Let's see if they can do it again. In this case, they have first pick, first ban. We will probably see them with the Malfurion very early in the game again. And considering the strategies that they've been running so far, they look at Tychus and they say, like, the way that he pressured Muradin in the last game, we don't want to deal with that again, so a Tychus ban could be the case. We would still expect them to attempt and go for a Dehaka here, and keep in mind that both of these teams actually prioritize Dehaka quite highly, could eventually even end up in a ban at some point in the series.
Yeah, and if they are prioritizing the Dehaka, the ETC ban makes a lot of sense. They want to try and choke out Russian Circus for the solid tanks on this map, and with beGenius getting the first pick, a first pick Dehaka wouldn't be out of the question for them.
So the only tank that is, by the way, not allowed, and I think most of you already know that, is Varian. In official tournaments, Varian, or like new heroes in general, are always not allowed for 2 weeks after their release. All unofficial tournaments that don't have anything to do with Blizzard officially can do whatever they want with their rule set and allow the hero earlier. But if you're watching an official Blizzard tournament like the qualifier here, you can expect new heroes to always be banned out for 2 weeks, which means that now in the second qualifier for HGC Europe, we're not seeing Varian, but he will be allowed for the third and last qualifier. Dehaka, shocker, is being used as the first hero here for beGenius, or could be.
You say it's Dehaka Shokalaka?
Dehaka Shokalaka, yeah. The thing is that they adjust their draft. They picked so far Malfurion first every time they could. Now they have a team against them that prioritizes Dehaka as highly as they do, and they know that. So they switch from Malfurion to Dehaka because they think that he is just a much more of a playmaker. And of course they also realized in the last game how much the Circus was actually relying on Dehaka to get these setups against heroes like Reyna, who could not really unfold their full power because of it. And that allows now the Russian Circus to head over into the Malfurion. So the Malfurion was given up by beGenius, picked up therefore by the Russian team, and we have them with a false stat to at least have some global mobility, since they themselves banned out Brightwing, and therefore both of the teams are already working against the global pressure that could be put on this map.
Yeah, they have the global mobility, and also Falstad does work. It's a little bit not in terms of like the top 2 heroes who are combined with Malfurion, but the cooldown reduction does still help him if he goes for the Hammerang build, or even just gives him that extra escape. No matter what he does, he still gets the extra damage. beGenius, for I think the first time, not picking Zarya in their first 3 heroes, trying to decide which ranged assassin they want.
Kiva has shown some great play on Vala. It just seems that it's one of those things where they say, hey, do we ban out Tychus or do we pick him here? And I guess in the end, it's more going to be a comfort pick for Kiva. I would not be surprised at all if they decide in favor of Vala. He seems to be favoring Vala a little bit, and you just need to play something that you're very confident in against such a strong team. So they're going for Vala. Definitely Kiva going to pick up the hero here. I could see a ban on Tychus. We have the Russian Circus now with a ban on their side. And they could actually just like get rid of another healer if they're afraid of something here. That's also quite noteworthy, I feel. beGenius hasn't even hovered over healer. They didn't even think about that. They said, like, okay, if they want to ban something else out, it doesn't matter. And that just shows a lot of confidence into their support player, saying, like, yeah, Malfurion is already out, Brightwing is also taken away. No matter what, I can play the Oriel here, I can go into the Brightwing. Depending on what they do, we might even consider Morales. So that doesn't really seem something where they are worried.
Yeah, they have plenty of options, and as such, not concerned about it, and because of that, we may not even see Russian Circus banning out a healer. Right now, they are considering, they're not hovering Zarya. They've seen the priority beGenius put on it, and they're thinking they don't want to play against it. And the Zarya shields onto the Thrall would be very scary, so Russian Circus gonna ban it away, remove that comfort pick for beGenius. beGenius look like they still want to play some kind of double tank hovering over the Tychus ban.
This is an awesome draft, guys. This is a great draft. That really shows that both of the teams put a lot of thought into what they ban and what they pick here, trying to analyze the opponent from the games that were played so far. I mean, you can be certain 100% that these boys have been looking at each other's draft already, have tried to do a bit of homework and see, okay, what did they pick in the first qualifier? What happened in the last few games that they played? They probably scrimmed against each other. And with a high priority that beGenius up to this point put on the Zarya, the Russian Circus said they are going to pick her up now if we don't ban her. So they take one of the comfort picks away. So really smart move on their part. beGenius, they have already done a couple of really smart moves there as well with the ETC, with the Dehaka first pick. And them going into a ban of Arthurs is actually also really telling. We haven't seen an Arthurs at all, I feel. And this is really some... Actually, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in the last qualifier, we had one game where the Russian Circus played Arthurs. And beGenius banning that hero out, that's not something where they say, yeah, that hero, we're afraid of it. Keep in mind, Muradin hasn't even been picked yet. But they're just saying, we know how you play, we know the style that you use, and we are not going to deal with the Arthurs here. We've seen that before. They probably scrimmed against each other. That's a really cool ban to see. That shows just knowledge about what your opponent prefers.
Yeah, we do see from Russian Circus something that they also seem to prefer, the Jaina, going for that burst, and this would have comboed perfectly with the Arthas, like you said. So the Arthas ban very solid for beGenius. Instead, Russian Circus hovering over the Johanna once again. Muradin completely ignored. They just want the extra tankiness and the centering that they get from Johanna to combo with the Jaina and probably the AoE false start.
Yeah, beGenius, of course, they still... Okay, they go into the Rhaegar for the heals. Muradin is an option for the additional tank, now that the rest has more or less been taken away from them. They, I feel, need to be... Do they need to be worried about the wave clear? I don't really think so. They have the Lightning Shield on Rhaegar, they have the multi-shot on Vala. Thrall, together with Lightning Shield, can do a good job. We have the Dehaka up at the top lane. So we can see, for sure, them going into the... Oh, okay. Now, there we go. Not going for an additional tank. Actually considering another range. Without Zarya. Still committing to the Dehaka as more or less the main tank of their setup. We don't see a lot of teams do that, but beGenius has consistently been headed into that direction. Sylvanas would be very cool here as a pick, very interesting. Again, going for a lot of push. Last time they actually chose Zul, which in this case would also have provided them with another frontliner, but they decide against it because they don't have the Zarya to help these frontliners out with the sustain.
Yeah, we did see, however, on this map, in the last series beGenius played on it, they did run Dehaka. That time they did have the Zarya, but they ran it with the adaptation anyway, so just giving it the extra tankiness, showing they're not afraid to do so. In Russian Circus, giving themselves a solo laner, they want someone to compete with Thrall, and that looks like it might be Chen. Other options for them could be Alarak. Leoric, probably a little bit less, but Chen and Alarak would be very solid for them.
I could totally have seen a Leoric here as well. I agree with the Alarak, by the way. That might have been a good pick for them. But a Leoric has a lot of combo potential here. First of all, you have Jaina to capitalize on an Entomb, and you also have Falstad, so you can simply Entomb and Gust, and then focus the target down with Jaina having her burst damage. Doesn't really fit their style here, apparently, so they decide against the Leoric with the Entomb, and instead in favor of Chen, which can, of course, bully lanes pretty heavily. And it's going to be interesting to see what he's going to pick for his level 10 talent, even though with Rhaegar being in play and the cleanse available, it's still highly likely that we're going to see Storm, Earth, and Fire here. But Dragonshire is the map now, guys. It's the second map in the best of 5 series here at the semi-final, so the Russian Circus is in the lead, and we're going to jump into the second map now to find out if they can make that a 2-0, or if beGenius is already coming back into the series here on Dragonshire. Alright. Sweet.
Sweet indeed. I do prefer the Chen over the Leoric. Like you said, the Leoric does have the wombo combo potential with the Entomb, but the fact is it basically turns Leoric, especially against a team like this, where you have Valor and Thrall on the up team, it turns Leoric into basically a one-shot hero where you have to hit the Entomb or he isn't going to get a huge amount of value. His Drain against only Dehaka isn't going to get as much damage as they would like, and the amount of disengage beGenius has is very spectacular. And Leo was just too easy a target to burst down in general, so basically you would leave him in one situation, whereas Chen has a better chance of winning the lane versus Thrall. He has a huge chance of either being the playmaker or just tanking longer than Leoric if he goes for the Panda Pals. And obviously Alarak,
Stop
we know
calling them that. There's nothing
Panda
more
Pals?
that tilts me than that name. It's like the worst talent name ever. It's like...
Alright, still
it's one of those tilt-worthy things. I've heard you say that before. Oh, Panda Pals.
Still fire, no worries.
Like, even Pandas is better. But the Pals, Jake does that too.
I think he invented it.
Could be, yeah. Game number 2, everybody. We have the Russian Circus against beGenius. And to the left side with the 1-0 lead in the best of 5 series, we have Mopsio on Johanna, Power of Dream on Chen for the Russian team, Neon on Jaina, So Ice Cream on Falstad, Sevkaja on Malfuri in this game. And to the right side, the French team with Tank for the win on Thrall. They're down 1 game in the best of 5 series here at the semi-final. This time they locked down the Haka for themselves. Danatan playing the hero again. We saw him with a great performance against Team Liquid on this very map. Let's see if he can repeat that. Unstable on Rhaegar, Arcane on Sylvanas, and Vala, as expected, being played by Kirva, going for the comfort hero here. And Falstad heading straight into a seasoned marksman, going for the auto attack build.
Yeah, stacking up some damage, preventing basically Spell Shield being used as a direct counter here. Or Dahaka taking his equivalent. He does have a talent that can reduce a bit of ability power damage to him. So Falstad making it so that they have their damage spread out and leaving the ability damage to Jaina. Whereas other talents, pretty standard for everyone except for Chen, who goes for the elusive brawler. He has several options he can take at level 1. This one 100% works, especially seeing as they want to try and block as much damage from Thrall and Vala as possible.
With Falstad, we have to watch out what he's going to take on, especially at level 7. You can go for a full auto attack build, even though it's a little bit less common with Secret Weapon. A hybrid build going for the boomerang so that you have additional wave clear is still played quite a bit. But besides that, we're seeing still rotations happening. And actually, it looks like the Ice Cream and Sevkaja are trying to set up a bit of an attack or gank up at the top, trying to stay outside of vision and sneaking past, going into the bush, basically waiting for the activation of the shrine up here to see who's moving up top so that they can take them down.
Arcane, though, thinking a similar idea, staying out of sight, but of course, 3 heroes oftentimes better than 2. He's going to be able to scout Sir Ice Cream, though, and that will give Tank for the win easily enough time to back out. But Arcane takes a little bit of harassment in exchange, and a lot of XP is about to be lost in that bot lane if Rhaegar can push up the lane any quicker.
Yeah, 3 against 2 up at the top, and down here we're seeing Rhaegar pushing the wave in. Thrall actually falling. Now that should not have happened. Okay, yes. Apparently even in the 3 versus 2 situation we saw Tank move out. He knew that there were 3 heroes and he actually decided to go out anyways. Was bursted down immediately. And that is the first kill in the game again by the Russian Circus, playing with that aggression.
Yeah, able to keep some good control there, and Chen even getting some ammo from the tower as well. Kira getting harassed, the global rotations coming in. Sir Ice Cream showing why globals are so important on this map, picking up the 2nd kill of the game and guaranteeing his team that bottom shrine. But top has been lost. Arcane once again rotating up to top lane to regain control.
I mean, at that point, I have to really say that the coordination that we see for the Russian Circus is very impressive. That's much better even than what we've seen or what the 2 of us have witnessed in scrims where they already looked strong, but currently they're really playing on point. I mean, in scrims, of course, you always want to test your boundaries also a bit and want to see what you can actually pull off. But so far, they're playing a very disciplined game here with a lot of good rotations. I like that a lot. Putting the pressure on with even getting the camp now. Arcane is actually really afraid to continue the own camp that he already started because he has no vision. So they needed to move back here. But that allows a lot of freedom on the map now for Team in Blue.
Indeed, working out very well for them. We're seeing Neon and Mopsio heading back down to the bot lane, clearing up the minions. They appear to be doing a bit of a rotation right now. 3 versus 3 in this bot lane, about to be 4 versus 3 if Falstad flies down. But remember, Dahaka can burrow as well. Both players waiting out their time. Power of Dream has gone for the Ring of Fire on his level 4 here, as he does want to control the lane, basically. Ring of Fire and the Brewmaster's Balance gives you almost the maximum amount of lane control, or at least sustain and wave clear in lane. But there are other talents which are potentially better for fighting heroes.
Yeah, nice trap. Yeah, well done so far. Good dodge on the side of Danatan. He's going to survive. But the Ice Cream puts a lot of pressure on already. Hammer gains as the level 4 talent, so really trying to capitalize on the damage he can put out with the Seasoned Marksman. He's going to get a lot of additional momentum in the later stage of the game if he comes to that. But for now, Neon is in trouble. Nice move by Mopsio, saving Neon and giving them a kill. The Haka moved into the Condemn. So he gets that kill down here, and Neon is able to make it out. Very impressive here. Once again, the coordination is on point.
Yeah, they're staying alive in situations they really shouldn't. Sevka even able to drop a good amount of damage onto Arcane here, who once again has to Haunting Wave out of this bottom objective. But level 7 talents available for both teams. Neon on point already at the Dragon Knight. able to grab the first one of the game for the Russian Circus. Thrall attempted to run up to top to delay it, but was easily too late.
Yeah, with the level 7 talents, we have the cooldown reduction for Johanna with the blessed momentum. We're seeing the follow-through on Thrall, and again the death dealer for Kieva's Vala, who has in the last game also taken quite a few auto-attack talents later on 16 and 20. Besides that, with a bit of fight down at the bot lane, so Ice Cream headed into the Boomerang, going not for secret weapon. He plays that hybrid build that allows him to still burst waves away quite easily. A level lead for the Russian Circus, also giving them a bit of an advantage. So far, pretty solid performance. And that Dragonite is still getting a little bit of value. It's an early one, didn't scale it highly, but they got the wall at the top lane now too.
Yeah, they'll get 2 towers and the wall as well, thanks to the minions doing that little bit of extra damage. And Power of Dream continuing to stay in that top lane, grabbing XP for his team. Bot lane also was pressured a bit. A tower was acquired, but the defense was still reasonable here. Unstable, thinking about the Merc camp, but Mopsio showing that Russian aggression, going to just show here, and that is enough to push away beGenius.
And keeps the aggro as well. They have level 10, so they're saying, like, we dare you, try and contest it. We have heroics, you don't. And therefore, an easy pick here. We have Storm, Earth, and Fire picked up on the side of Chen as they're defending. And again, the Twilight Dream from Malfurion as another wall falls at the bottom of the map.
Yeah, we're still only on level 9 for beGenius here. They want to try and raise to 10 as quick as possible. Dahaka is going to attempt to get that for them by soaking in that mid lane. But Russian Circus using their advantage, using their pressure on the map to guarantee that bottom bruiser as well. The siege giants have already been cleared up, but we're going to see Neon and Sevkarb and Mopsio push in here. The Blessed Shield misses, but the idea here is they want to keep the pressure on, because otherwise this bruiser camp is going to get no value because of Sylvanas. But because the Blessed Shield didn't land, they just have to let it go. The camp just won't get value, but they do still get the XP from it.
Yeah, a bit too aggressive here. Power of Dream at the top lane, especially thanks to the Ring of Fire, is single-handedly dealing with that wave. Shrines are activating again, and more camps have been taken in the meantime by the Russian Circus. It's 10 versus 10 now. We see again the adaptation taken on the side of the Dahaka. We have the Earthquake. Only Vala hasn't made a choice yet, but goes into Strafe in this particular setup right now. So both of the teams with their heroic abilities. We're still seeing the Ice Cream stack. He's on Foresight by now on 18 bonus damage, now that we are 7 minutes into the game. And of course with the Shrines being active, Chen already taking position up to the top at the Sunshine.
Yeah, and Chen, once again, trying to sustain himself through that. He does, of course, have that Storm of Fire to get himself out of there so he doesn't get picked off if we see Dahaka attempt to go aggressive. And with that, just Ring of Fire, he's just able to sustain the lane. The Blind Blessed Shield onto Thrall here. Cleanse is dropped, and Thrall able to pull out there, but that was aggressive.
As advertised.
As advertised, as seen on TV.
Top lane, by the way. Value Town is right there. Power of Dream is pushing that in even farther. At the bot lane, on the other hand, yep, there comes the fly in, so Ice Cream goes very deep for this one. Barely escapes. Earthquake is on the ground as Falset is starting to get punished, but we see Rhaegar fall. So Ice Cream dies to the strafe. Super aggressive move by the Russian Circus. Way too far out there, in my opinion. Not really necessary to take that much of a risk. It was a high risk, high reward play that I don't think they have to go for.
Yeah, big apologies for my language there. That caught me very off guard. But once again, like you said, they went a bit too aggressive. 2 kills for 1 in favor of beGenius in this case. And we already see Rhaegar on his way back, where, as Paul said, he will have fly very soon in 2 seconds, so he'll be able to fly back and assist very soon, very quickly. Power of Dream attempting to get his team even in terms of those kills, and they do. They pick up Kira with the prevention of the rotation. They one tag for the win too. The body block's coming in, but the cleanse, too good, prevents the slow from Dana.
Rhaegar was so close to saving Vala, but he was just a step behind. He died earlier, of course, with that engage. But very interesting that Russian Circus... I mean, I can understand if you're behind that you feel the pressure to make a play like this, but being ahead, they just could have focused on decent play. 7 hit points as the ice block is being used, but Malfurion is only delaying the inevitable. He falls, and both of the teams now on level 13 talents, with Burning Rage being picked up by Johanna. We see the pressure points, a bit of a playmaker ability for Chen himself now. And a talent that personally always baffles me a little bit with the auto attack build, the Flow Rider. In this case, not as much as against heroes like Muradin and other high hit point tanks, since we have only Dehaka and Thrall on the opponent's side, so Giant Killer wouldn't get as much value. But we will see him throw out a few more of those additional sorry, not storm bolts, but hamarangs in the game.
Yeah, but I agree with you. It does confuse me a little bit as well. Like, if you were running the secret weapon, yes, you're going to get more attack damage in this case. But otherwise, it seems to only be for wave clear, just to get that extra boomerang out. Right now, both shrines controlled by beGenius. Dehaka going to attempt to do something in the top lane, continue pushing that up. But bot shrine has already been taken back by the Russian circus, and Johanna was already positioned to prevent the DK going over.
Yeah, nice Gus. Once again, Sefkash in a bit of trouble. Use the iceberg and good fraying of Frost. But is it enough damage? They're trying to go for unstable. He's so close to dying. The Panda Pals are in play. We have the ult going out. He goes straight for the Ancestral, saving them before he dies. But this time, once again, a triple kill against the Russian circus here. Power of Dream moving away. Mopsio on the run too. They're trying to make sure that he is going to fall too. But this is going to be a Dragon Knight on the side of Team in Red.
Yeah, that, like you said, that was a beautiful Ring of Frost that sort of prevented a huge amount of extra damage coming in from beGenius, but the rotation's just too good there. And we're finally seeing beGenius taking more control in this game. Their first Dragon Knight, and they're going to easily push in this mid lane.
Now there's a couple of things, of course, that we can still talk about here, especially with that fight, but currently at the top lane we see Chen still getting a bit of counter value. He's trying to make sure that they at least get the fort here. That would be a lot of extra experience for them. Besides that, the mid lane is still being assailed by the Dragon Knight, and beGenius is going to get the fort. The question is, how much more can they take down with the Dragon Knight? 30 seconds remain.
We will see. They're pushing in. 16 available for both teams right now, so once that Dragon Knight pops, we will see an even talent fight. Oh, Chen very aggressively forward. He wants to try and catch someone. He kicks over Tank for the win. Looks like he may have wanted to drop the slow here, but instead just puts himself in a safer position so he doesn't get caught out here. And that's forced the Dragon Knight all the way back to his own lane, to his own side of the map, to help clear the lanes to make sure that he can get out and doesn't get picked off. He's going to be back to base, which is weird considering he's completely full health and mana.
I mean, he can always... I think he wants to defend the top lane and then brush
exactly.
Straka in. Didn't want to waste the cooldown, I assume. But the camp is taken out the bot lane. Yeah, now with the cooldown still available, he can actually help out if there is a fight down here. Manticore, here comes the Earthquake already being used. They're going straight for the potential kill. The Ancestor is coming through and saving, in this case, Jaina for just a moment. Sylvanas actually, she dies. Her Ice Cream is also dead. It's a double kill against the French team, though, as we're seeing Rhaegar fall, and that's the support gone. Sefkash himself is in trouble and dies too. A 3-4-3 as they're focusing down Thrall. Thrall is about to die, but we see also, again, Mopsio in trouble. He's so close to falling. Danatar wants him, heals himself with the Essence. 4 kills against 3 just now. A massive team fight at the bottom, and the camp was actually claimed by the Russian team.
Yeah, now we see the slowest fight of all time, the tank fight, where both teams' tanks attempting to get through. Finally, the 2v1 goes in favor of Russian Circus. They're able to push through, and now they're going to start pressuring this bottom 4, using Power of Dream's brew to tank through it, and of course the Ring of Fire to do that little bit of extra damage. It's going to take a while, but they are going to get it.
That map down there, just like everybody dying. It's like we have 2 heroes in the game, by the way, that haven't fallen yet, and that's the 2 tanks for Russian Circus, Power of Dream and Mopsio. Those are the 2 that don't have a single death yet in the game. Everybody else died at least once. Sefkash currently with 4 deaths on Malfurion. 11 versus 9 overall on the board. Keeping track of the stacks, by the way, we have 30 damage on the Ice Cream now, so his stacking process slowed down considerably, but he's still able to put that pressure play out there, and he will definitely get a lot of momentum later on. Silence, of course, on the side of Sylvana is also super strong here, as we see Power of Dream jumping in again. Storm, Earth and Fire is going to be ready soon, but look at Sefkash. He's immediately being tagged by Thrall and barely escapes as the fight still rages on.
Yeah, but that means that Sefka has been hugely zoned out. As such, Jaina falls. Dream barely saves himself with the Storm by Fire there. He's able to pull back, but that's still 2 kills for 0. That zoning that Tank for the Win did onto the Malfurion just completely killed off Jaina, as there's no sustain she could get there. And incredible play from beGenius, taking great control of this game. They get the top shrine, now they're going to use Sylvanas to push in this top lane with their Bruiser Cap.
It was actually very, very good what he did there. Thrall moving in with that Earthquake, and as you said, like Malfurion had no chance. He tried to escape there and moved away and barely saved himself, but with him being pushed this far back, there were no heals, there was no silence. They missed crucial crucial abilities in that game or in that fight, and now there's even more pressure on Johanna, who's desperately trying to prevent a Dragonite from being captured. But I think the chance of that happening are slim to none, and there it is, misses the shield glare, tank for the win takes it. They wouldn't have been able to save it either way, in my opinion. That would have gone over to beGenius eventually. Now it's 19 versus 19, but we're still in a situation, 15 minutes into the game, where keeps are not even being threatened.
Yeah, there's no keeps really being pressured on either team, but we're going to see beGenius attempt to change that right now. There's the punch onto Jane, and maybe beGenius turn it onto the tank's fire. Not a huge amount of damage, but it's enough to kill off that fort. Now the question is, how much further do they want to go? Heroics are now all available, so Thrall will have Earthquake when he pops out of that Dragonite. The only thing that's not available is the Storm Earth Fire for Chen here. And thank for the win. Getting poked down by Jada. He's just harassing at the moment. Single auto attack, single fire breaths. Not going to put himself in a position where he's going to die if that Dragonite pops.
Yeah, top lane, that's where we still see Johanna. Tank for the win down here is going to take a little bit more damage, but the keep is going to be safe. He's not going to be able to make a play there. The Haka is also trying to pressure the lanes a bit and make sure that he pushes them back after Johanna pushed them out. Level 20 gives us, and this is just such a fantastic talent if you go Earthquake. If you have Earthen Shields, it's insane the sustain that you gain out of this. And we also have Storm Shields in. We have once again Rancor for Vala, so even more auto attack damage, as we see the 20s pop for the Russian Circus as well, which in particular now, of course, gives us even more survivability on their part.
Yeah, Urban Shields, Hardened Shield, and Storm Shields. They're only short one type of shield, and that's indestructible, because Johanna is on the other team. We're going to see Sylvanas and Vala start that bottom camp, but they are scouted out, and as such, Thrall in a lot of danger here. But he's able to take down Falstad before he's taken down two, and the Ring of Frost is on point.
The Ring of Frost is great, but we have once again Storm Earth and Fire coming into play as the second hero on the side of the Russian Circus falls. Arcane with the can. Danatan goes in again, and it's the end of Chen. This is the French team going ham here. They move in and try to take down Mopsio or Neon. Both of them would be great. They have a double camp pushing through the bot lane. There comes another slow as Unstable goes in with the totem, but it feels like this is going to end in a keep falling at the bot lane. Look what a fantastic wave and double camp are pushing in here. Together with Sylvanas, there's no way of saving it.
Dana once again dropping in any extra damage to try and clear this lane as quick as possible, because like you said, the keep is forfeit, but they can at least protect the core, even with just two heroes. The first time Chen has died, Mopsio still yet to die in this fight. Danatan looking to try and change that, and they go very aggressive. Indestructible still available. Mopsio gets the shield and pulls himself back to his safer position. He can now beat back and get all his health, but a second keep is going to fall for that.
The French team showing their class this game, and it's actually very impressive that they were able to come back into this, considering how well the early game went for the Russian Circus. Was pretty decent there, but at this point they are the ones that have taken down two keeps, and again the Dragon Knight will appear in another 4 seconds, so we are going to see a play for that. 42 stacks, by the way, on the side of Sir Ice Cream, starting to really get some extra damage in with the auto attacks, but didn't really have the impact on the game yet that he was hoping for. Russian Circus needs to win a team fight, and so far in most of the big battles they haven't really looked too great, especially since they couldn't even kill Thrall in the last one.
Yeah, Thrall was able to survive for a very long time, killing off Falstad before he himself was taken out by Jada, but just the amount of sustain he gets, and a huge amount of that is due to his new Earthquake, and people are still asking questions about that a fair amount. The reason it's being picked so often now is one, because the stun on full angle going on to Johanna here. They've dragged Chen. Chen is unstoppable now. Gets off his Panda Pals here. He's going to go in. Wow, Ray got taken out, and this is what we would expect from Russian Circus.
What did we say? They need to win a team fight, and they're doing that just now. As you said, Thrall, he died eventually in the last fight, but this time he died before he could use the Earthquake, and that was a big, big problem for them. Great kills here for the Russian Circus. Falstad flying in and completely wrecking them was so important. That's going to be a Dragonite. Very well done here. 3 kills against 0. The Russian Circus with a 1-0 lead in the best of 5 series already, and they are pushing through the mid lane now, marching straight towards the bottom of the map. They want to take a keep. They want to get some counter pressure. Falstad is back and is now flying back in. He has, of course, the Epic Mount that allows him a lot of mobility on the map. Needed to push some of the lanes out. They go through the side. They want to go core, apparently.
They do want to. There's still 20 seconds left for Dahaka. What I was saying on Thrall earlier is now that his Earthquake does damage, it procs his Frostball Resilience, but he wasn't able to get it off in the last fight. He is going to be back in time to at least try to defend, but it's way too late at this point. The Mighty Guns used onto Sylvanas, and that is GG. Russian Circus taking game number 2.